Before I get into the video, I just want to remind you guys that the web hosting course is still available for purchase. It's in pre-sale right now. It's going to be launching January 1st, and the price is going to go up after that. So if you're interested in purchasing the course, you can do so now by clicking the link below in the description. A lot of people have asked me, Bryce, why do you use A2 hosting for your web hosting business? If you need a good web hosting company, I've got a link to them in the description below. But I think it's a valid question. Everyone's like, oh, why don't you use AWS? Why don't you use DigitalOcean or whatever company? I mean, there's a billion different web hosting companies out there. Why do you use A2 hosting instead of any other company? Honestly, the main reason is because they're affordable, they're fast, and they've got great customer service, but there's a lot of other companies that can claim those exact same things as well. So in this video, we're going to talk about why I use A2 hosting and why I think you should use them too over AWS, DigitalOcean, Linode, insert company here compared to every other company that's out there. To be completely transparent, I really do like AWS and DigitalOcean. In fact, I use both of these on a day-to-day basis. I'm very familiar with their platforms, what they offer, how they work, how they interact. And so I feel like I'm actually fairly qualified to kind of give my personal biases. I currently own, and I guess I've built a software company over the last 2 years. And in doing that, I've run my entire business completely on DigitalOcean. Also, for my 9-to-5 day job, I'm a systems administrator, and we use AWS exclusively. So I use that all day long. I use AWS for that, and then I use DigitalOcean for my other side hustle, my software business. Both of these companies, they are incredible. They offer incredible services. They've got great speed and uptime and all the different things. But the one thing that they don't really have is user friendliness. And that right there is the main reason that I don't use them for my web hosting business. That's why I use A2 hosting. Plain and simple, even though AWS, DigitalOcean, company XYZ, even though they offer incredible services, I don't use them because they're not very user friendly. They're just not intended for the average Joe. Now look, I am a huge nerd. If you give me a blank command line with a blinking cursor, that is my jam. I feel totally at home typing commands, working on servers and computers. But for a lot of people, that's just not the case. If you were to give them a blank computer with a command prompt, they wouldn't even know what to do. That would be so intimidating. DigitalOcean, AWS, these are incredible companies because they allow you to really start from the ground up. They allow you to pretty much do anything and everything, customize the servers and the services to whatever you need. But usually in order to do that, you have to know kind of some programming, some command line, a little bit of everything, and you have to kind of finagle these to get them working how you want. For a novice user who has no idea what they're doing, this is so intimidating. My goal on this channel is to teach you guys how to earn passive income and make money from web hosting. Now, I could teach you how to do that on AWS or DigitalOcean, but if it's so intimidating and there's such a steep learning curve that people are just going to be so intimidated that they won't do it in the first place, then that defeats the purpose. I want to help as many people as possible, and so that's why I don't use these companies. The other thing is I actually speak from experience, because 5 years ago when I started my web hosting company, I actually did try and use DigitalOcean. I ran my entire company, which back then I was hosting maybe 20 websites, but I hosted all 20 of these websites on a single server from DigitalOcean. I had this brilliant idea. I was going to buy one server, just rent it on a month-to-month basis from DigitalOcean, and then I was going to throw a bunch of websites on there and just collect this recurring passive income from all of my clients. It was going to be sweet. So that's exactly what I did. Anytime I had a new client that signed up with me, I would log into my server, I would run a few commands, copy some files, run some scripts, do all these different things, and I would get their website up and running, and they were just kind of humming along, alongside all these other websites that I was hosting at the same time. But you see, trying to teach somebody else to do that is just, I don't know, I could do it, but again, it comes down to being so intimidating that I think I would just scare off a lot of people, and that's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do here. On the flip side, the reason that I recommend A2 hosting is because it's all GUI based. I mean, if you are even somewhat computer savvy and you can move your mouse and you can click on something, you're gonna do just fine. A2 hosting is awesome. It's completely GUI based. Everything is run on cPanel, and so it makes it really user friendly. So when I'm signing up a new person and teaching them how to run their own web hosting company, they're not intimidated. They can just click on the different things that they need to. Ultimately, I kind of had to suck up my pride. I'm a very stubborn guy. I pride myself on being really good with servers. But at the end of the day, after so many different things happened using DigitalOcean, I just realized that it wasn't the best platform for me to run my business. I remember very vividly the moment that I was hosting a website for a client and they got just this massive spike in traffic. Just overnight, something happened. Maybe they ran an ad, or I don't know, maybe they had a post that went viral, but their website just slammed my server. They got so much traffic that I actually had 5 other clients call me and text me, and they're like, hey, my website is running so slow. Can you look into this? What's going on? And it's because I was running all of these websites on a single server. So when one server got pegged, all these other websites were affected. Now you may be saying, okay, well, Bryce, we're doing the exact same thing with A2 hosting. We're putting all these websites on a single server. How is that not the same? The reason is because A2 hosting, yes, while it's on the same server, they've got software in place that silos off all of these individual websites. So yes, when it's possible that if one other website gets a ton of traffic that yours could be affected, but they have software in place to balance all of that load and to make sure that your website really isn't affected if something like that were to happen. Another time I had a client who messaged me and they're like, hey Bryce, can I get FTP access to my website? Now in the web hosting world, this is a very common, simple thing to do. But because I was running all of these websites on one single server with DigitalOcean, I didn't have, again, those little silos in place. So if I was to give that client access via FTP to their website, they would also have access to all of the different websites, all of the different files, all of the different client information in addition to their own. And that's a big no-no. You never, ever want to give somebody else access to a separate client's information and data. That's a huge privacy and security concern. So again, A2 hosting, all these reseller companies, they have silos. And so all you have to do is you have to go and say FTP, and you create a new account, and then you're good to go. It's so easy, and they don't have access to all these other files for all these other clients. Is it possible? Yes, you absolutely can do it with DigitalOcean, with AWS, with all these different other companies, but it's just, I ultimately decided it was not worth the hassle. I want to run a business that's passive, easy, scalable, and doesn't take up a whole bunch of my time. And I just realized that running my business on these other companies, it just wasn't really the best structure to do that. And so after that experience, that's when I decided to switch, and I have never looked back, and I'm so grateful that I did, because now when I need to go and do a backup on a website, I click on backup, and wow, magically it just runs. I don't really have to think about it. If I want to set up an FTP account, I click on FTP. I mean, imagine that. If I want to set up an email account for a client, I click on email. And the great thing about this is now when I'm teaching people, they can follow along right along with me. They can say, okay, Bryce is clicking on backup, I'm going to click on backup. It's just so much easier to teach people and train people, and there's significantly less time involved with doing this. I am so glad I went with A2 hosting. Really, truly, just because they have made my life so much easier. Rather than spending hours per month managing my business, I now spend 30 minutes per month tops, because they take care of everything for me. So if you're looking for a good web hosting company, I highly recommend A2 hosting. I'll leave a link down in the description. And again, just want to throw a reminder in there that the web hosting course is live. It's available for pre-sale. So if you're interested in starting a web hosting company, seeing how I make passive income by hosting other people's websites, definitely check out that course, because it's going to teach you step by step how to do every part of the process. That's it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch you next week.